So, what do I believe about marriage? In the other videos I talked about what I believed on sex, what I believed on, preaching. This one, what do I believe on marriage? Well, first and foremost, marriage should be between one man and one wife. Now, because it should be between man and woman, and I'm going deeper saying one man, one wife. And I know many have the belief that it is okay to marry many wives because of what it says in the Old Testament. And many people in the Old Testament had many wives, and some cultures today still have many wives. But there is a scripture, and I forget where it is in the Bible because I don't, read it enough. I'm not really a pastor, so I apologize for that. But I do know that there is a scripture somewhere in the New Testament that says that we do not have any excuses anymore. So, for some of the things in the Old Testament that God kind of allowed, we don't really have those excuses anymore. So, I would be kind of confused to why people still believe that you can take up many wives. I mean, think about this. If a wife tried to take up many husbands, it would not go well. So, that's another thing that you could keep in mind is like, well, on the flip side, that's not going to go very well if a woman was to have many husbands. Why would it go well today for a man that had many wives? It's just, and again, because Jesus came, died on the cross, rose from the grave, and because of this word here, we don't have any excuses for that. So, many wives, no, we should not have many wives. It should be between one man, one woman. And then, what about incest? Well, that again, there are many cultures today that still carry that belief, that still get married with, kind of within the family, right? But what does the Bible say about that? In Leviticus 20:17, it says, and let me find it here, it is a shameful disgrace. And there's more to it, but my focus is on it being a shameful disgrace. Highlight that, circle that, underline that, whatever you have to do there, because if the Bible tells us it is a shameful disgrace, that means that God does not like it. He is not for it. And yes, I know up till the law of Moses, that's what people were doing. And that's one of the things that God, kind of in the beginning, allowed. But ever since the law of Moses and since Jesus came, died on the cross, and resurrected, and we have this, there's no excuse. There really is no excuse for that. So, definitely also toss that out, toss that belief out. Marrying and incest, toss that belief out. Many wives, toss that belief out. And again, I know some people would be like, well, what about a person's personal decision? Well, you know what? Pray for that person because they're wrong. Pray that their hearts would be open to the truth because they are wrong. So, what does the Bible mention about age gaps? Now, the Bible does mention and say that there is, like not necessarily like a certain age, however, it does state that they should be mature, right? What is that age for someone? When do they fully develop, as a adult? I do believe that comes down to each country making that their own decision as, a law. So some countries might say 17 or 16, while other countries like America might say 18. And I believe if you're a citizen of these countries, you have to respect that law. So if you're somebody in the United States that obviously the law says 18, you have to respect that law. You shouldn't really be dating anybody younger than 18 if you are older. However, believe me, I had a discussion with a governor before because I had an issue with, somebody who was supposed to be my mentor actually, ended up showing me pornography, and I was only 17 at the time. And so my parents and we sat down with the governor, and we had some questions, and the governor was really honest. He said, for somebody that is 18 years old, they can date somebody that is 46. I mean, that by law. So I know that there's some Christians that would get all, buffed up over that, or kind of upset over that. However, the bottom line is they are a adult. If they are 18 years old, they are a adult. However, because they're still at a younger age, if you're somebody 30 years or even older, and you fell in love with somebody that was around 18, 21, and they fell in love with you, because it does take two, right? It takes two, and that's one of the things that you have to come around to is that's the reason why I'm saying, well, just relax. If an 18-year-old fell in love with a 40-year-old, just know that it does take two to fall in love. And so, but other than that, what I'm getting around to is hopefully that person that would want to date this younger person would at least wait until they're out of high school. Now, if they're in college, I don't see anything wrong with that, But if they're 18, you should at least wait until they're out of high school before you start getting into a serious relationship. Because let's also look at the flip side. If somebody was 60 and dating somebody that was 30, there's not really going to be any eyebrows raised, like, you know. And I get that the younger party is at this point would be a little bit older, and I understand that. However, it's still, you can still see a pretty big age difference there, right? But then also mention this, is that as you get older, age doesn't really make a difference to people as people get older. As people get older, you start making friends with, you know, somebody that's around 30 starts making a friend or two, you know, talking to somebody that's, you know, in their 60s or 70s, or somebody in their 30s might start, you know, talking to somebody that's, you know, between 18 or 21, which, again, I understand that is frowned upon a little bit, but I want you to understand, you know, it does take two to make a friendship, and it takes two to make a relationship, and by law, somebody that is well in their 30s or 40s, by law, if the other party is 18 or over, by law, here in the United States, it is legal.